Hey, good morning, Mizzou fans. Tuesday, April 8th, officially season for everyone in college basketball, also college football. It's been that way for a while. Those are the two we mostly pay attention to. Off season for everybody for the next, I don't know, 3, 4 months, somewhere in that range. Uh, we were watching the national title game last night, which, by the way, the ending, worst ending I've ever seen to a national title game, basically completely ruined what was otherwise a pretty good and competitive game for me. Hate to see a game in that way, a game that was clearly lost over being won. Houston lost that game. Florida deserves some credit for hanging around, but Houston lost that game, and you hate to see a game end that way. So we're watching the game last night, and Gerard Hamilton asked us. He said, "Would you rather lose in the first round or lose in the title game?" And this kind of applies to all sports. Do you want to lose early in the playoffs, or do you want to have that hope and get all the way within an inch of the finish line and get beat? For me, there's no question. I want to get as far as I can get. And then if you lose, you lose. But I'd much rather lose a Super Bowl than a wild card game. I'd much rather lose a national semifinal than a first round game. However, here's what I countered with. I would rather lose by 20 than lose the way Houston lost last night. So it kind of got me thinking for today's PM in the AM. First of all, like, what's your answer to that question? Would you rather, fight and claw all the way to the end? Somebody makes a play and you lose by a point, by a field goal, whatever. Or would you rather the game's over in the second quarter or with 15 minutes left to go? I choose the latter. I'd rather lose by 20 than lose by one. And there's some experience here, right? The Chiefs' 2 Super Bowl losses were over early. I was fine with, wasn't even angry by the end of the game. Brought to mind kind of the most painful Mizzou losses. I think clear number one in basketball is Tyus Edney. Like, I don't even think it's close. It was now. Credit goes to Tyus Edney and UCLA on that play. We're not going to break it down 30 years later. But if he takes that same shot against the same defense, I'm not sure he hits more than 3 out of 10. He hit that one. Also, obviously, the whole issue of how you're playing defense there. But like, that one lingered far longer than the Elite Eight loss to Arizona, which was never really close. The Elite Eight loss to UConn, which in the end was like a 6 or 7 point game, but wasn't close most of the second half. You had time to process those. Tyus Edney you just got punched in the face and it was over. Football, I think the most painful loss ever, I don't even think it's close for me, is the 97 Nebraska kickball game. Not only because it happened on just this freak thing, but because it was number one and you had it all the way to the end. Like, losing to Nebraska, 63-9, which Missouri did almost every other year when I was growing up, that didn't hurt at all. That was just expected. And by the time it was over, you knew it was going to happen. And the 4th-string fullback had a 60-yard touchdown run to end it, and that was that. But that 97 game, like, you had 59 minutes and 59 seconds where you thought, oh my God, this is going to happen. And it doesn't happen. So look, I'm sure today's installment is not the most joyful for any of you to relive or to talk about. But I'm curious, like, if you know your team's losing, when do you want your team to lose? How do you want your team to lose? And the blowouts, they don't stick with you. The ones that you can go back and pick out one play and say, man, if you just change this, the whole thing's different. Those are the ones that we're talking about 27 years later, 30 years later. Houston fans are going to be talking about this one 50 years later, unless maybe they come back and win another one, right? Maybe they win next year and the pain of this one goes away a little bit, but I don't think the pain of this one ever goes away, because if you win next year, you're talking about, man, we should have been back to back. So anyway, curious about your feedback in the comments. Let me know. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will be back to talk to you tomorrow.